Hi friends, today is all about threads. I'm going to share with you one of my favorite new threads. It's not super new. I found it a couple of years ago when I found a company that made colors, and more than anything, they made a neutral one or an off-white muslin one that I could dye. And I bought a few of the rolls that they had there at the show that we were at and took them home. And then I used one of them on the Home Tweet Home quilt. And Jen had a really rough time trying to get it from them. And what we found out was that right after I bought them, they sold the company to someone else who decided to discontinue that line. And so I have been working for the past year in how I could get more of that kind of thread. And it turns out that that thread is like a shoelace. You play with it. Not a current shoelace, an old shoelace, like the kind that were in Keds when I was a kid. You know, not super strong, might break if it tried, that kind of shoelace. So it's put together on what's called a butt braider. I have no idea why, but I have an antique butt braider that still needs a few parts to work well. And then I ordered a braider, similar braider from China. So, and then I set to work on trying to create some of the colors that we could use this on because I've been using it like crazy. I'm come to the end of the ones I got from that original company. So see how it adds texture to things? These bushes here is one of my favorite ways, but I even use it for regular stitches. This one, all of these branches here are back stitch that's whipped. And look how it makes them look a little gnarly branches. And then, oh, I don't know what that little guy's doing on here. And these flowers are the same thing. On the flowers, I just make sure that there is a 1-inch loop that comes out of the background. And then when I ruche it, it will either make 4 petals or 3 petals, depending on just how it lays. I've used it for hair on Joseph here. You can see that I've ruched it and tacked it down for hair. Let's see, what else do I have? I've been playing with other stitches that you could do with it. So this was a day that I just played with some extra. This is a cast on bullion. So you can see it just gives it a lot of texture because it's a very thick thread. This one is like a George's knot or turkey work stitch. We just went around in a circle. So I would make a loop and then the next one I did tight and then make a loop. And I just kept going around in a circle. And to me, that one looks more like a rose or a chrysanthemum. I can't wait to try more of those with the new colors. So we have 10 different packages of colors and we're doing them in sets of 2. And I cannot remember off the top of my head which colors go together, but there's black and brown, there's a green and a blue, there is a pink and a red, there is a yellow and a peach, and there is aqua and I think green is the other one. Is that what I've said? Green and brown, blue, purple. That's the other one. The other one is purples. So each one of these has 5 packages in them, and each one of these is 3 yards. The reality is you don't need a huge piece. We could put 25 yards on it, but you don't need that much. 3 yards is enough, even if what you're doing is the ruching. 3 yards is enough for you to ruche 1 full yard. So like this whole thing doesn't take more than the 3 yards. So it's plenty to be able to put them in the 3 yards, and that gives you some color variation in case you want to try something fun like that. So let me show you how to ruche it, review in your mind if you haven't seen it on our YouTube channel. You start by tying a knot in the end of the thread, and you will need a needle big enough to hold for you to be able to put the thread through it. And so this might be a 22, and I might have forced it, but you really want probably a chenille 18 to get that through. You're not going to be doing a lot of stitching with it, except in cases like this one where you're doing the back stitches. But so make sure that you have a big enough needle if you're doing a regular stitch. If not, then just get it through. So I tied the thread and then I cut the thread to be 4 times as long as the distance I want to cover. So it's 4 times as long as this, plus 1 to 2 inches because you're going to have some extra down here to tie it in a knot. Then once you've taken it through, you're only going to pull that end through an inch or 2, and you can pull the needle off at this point. But then you're going to fray this edge until you can get a hold of 1 of the threads from it. Now this one's longer because I've done this one for the instructions before. And then when you pull on this, you want the gathers to go on top of your project. So I usually just hold those down in place. See how my fingers are going to hold those so they don't pull. And then as I pull, it will ruche the top side. And then I'll be able to, you can do it loose, you can do it tight. If you watch, it will kind of go every other, so it'll make almost like a rickrack that you can tack down every other spot. You can almost see that right here. And you can play with them and say, lay down on the other side. I want you over there. I want you tighter here, looser there. This is more of the loose style, like this, where you can see both sides almost like rickrack. This is more of the tight style, like I've done in the hair and the other things. So that, and then you need to go back and tack this down somehow. You can do it with stitches. You could do French knots. You could do bullion knots. You could do whatever you wanted to tack this down with. If you're just going to be tacking it down, I actually usually use this thread because I know it's going to match. So I'll just take this back up to the top. I'll rethread this part, take it back up to the top and tack it down with that. So that's how you ruche it. And if you're wondering and you need a reminder, the back of it has those instructions of what you can do to ruche it. You can use it other ways, like I showed you. You can make other stitches with it because it gives you a lot of texture, but that ruching thing is part of what's fun. So watch for the sets. We'll have them in, I think we have deals on the 2 packs of each of the sets. And lots of our other threads on Thread Day. See you next time.